We'll do it live. Fuck it.
Hey, Scott, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm mellow Sunday night, Scott. You don't normally get this, Scott. You get frantic after work Thursday podcast night, Scott. You nor any of our listeners get laid back, easy like Sunday afternoon, Scott.
Wow. I like easy like Sunday because I was afraid you were going to yell at me.
Nah.
What did I do? I lost our last episode. I lost the Thursday recording. Scott came over to the house. We did it the old-fashioned way. I don't know what's going on. I sent Scott the files like I usually do. And Scott goes, Bill, you sent me last week's show. And I go, that's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. So he's like, no.
Heard, Scott, how are you doing, sir? I was like, wait, he didn't do that 2 weeks in a row. What the fuck's going on here?
When you sent it back to me, I'm like, oh my God, how? How did this happen? So I'm scouring my computer looking for the recording that we just did on Thursday, and it's gone. Just gone.
Oof.
I used software to like scan my computer, try to find deleted WAV files. Just gone. Just gone.
Well, you know what Jenna called this? This is the ultimate fuck-uppery.
This is a bad fuck-uppery. So, what are we doing tonight? We're actually not together. No. Scott's back at his house. And we're doing a last-minute emergency broadcast to make sure that we get something out for you guys on Monday morning. It is now Sunday at 6:35. We have no room for mistakes because I am not editing nothing tonight. I'm just pushing this thing up.
That's right. And I will prove to you that it's Sunday night. Right now, the Chiefs are leading the Cincinnati Bengals 17-16.
Yeah, hold up a newspaper.
6:35 Eastern time. You have to go to the post office to hold up a newspaper.
Yeah. And one different thing that we're doing, since we have to do this remotely, we said, well, why don't we just film it? Why don't we we're using Riverside again. We've talked about that in the past, and Riverside lets us record audio, but also video. So this is our first foray into video. So if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast player, head over to YouTube and see what our mugs look like in person.
Or don't. I'm okay with that too.
You don't want to be seen?
No, we talked about doing video now for a while. We hinted at it. I thought we were going to save it for our 100th episode, but you know what they say, necessity is the mother of all invention. So here we are. This is necessity, and you're getting us live.
Yeah, I can't tell you how angry I still am. Like, I'm looking at the agenda. We're going to talk about some of the same stuff we talked about the other day, but some of the news is already outdated, which is funny. And
Well,
I'll bring all
it's not
of
a
it up.
fuck-uppery now, but it's not a fuck-uppery.
It's not. No, we would have been. It very much would have been. Well, before we kick off, we got some news stories as always.
Yeah.
We have some fuck-upperies.
More
Maybe we ought to
fuck-upperies. Yeah.
Let's just jump right into the fuck-upperies.
All right. Give me what you got.
This is my favorite because this is the same fuck-uppery that we did the other day. All right, so here's what happened. I read this fuck-uppery to Scott from Bianca Wirt 2429 on our YouTube channel. Bianca Wirt says, Xbox One is not the newest console. Now, here's the fucking hilarious thing about this fuck-uppery. When we did the show on Thursday, this came from Brother Dan. So Scott right away is like, oh, fuck this. Dan's not right. Scott picks up the phone and calls him and records the conversation. And Dan has no idea. So Dan was going to be on the show. And Dan loves when he's on the show. And then I lost the episode. So now Dan doesn't get to be on the show.
I can only figure that he used Bianca's sign-in because he was afraid if it came from, Brother Dan, we just wouldn't even talk about it.
Right. So he tried to use his wife's name. Clever. Well, anyway, so what was the fuck-uppery? You said that Xbox One is still the current console for Xbox, and he protested.
And I stand by that it is, because I did say that they came out with the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X, which were faster chipsets, better graphics cards, things like that, but still being branded as the Xbox One. So I stand by the fact that the Xbox One is still the current console. And he kind of conceded while on that live telephone call. I had him on speakerphone. And then he sent me links to the Xbox One X. And I was like, dude, we're agreeing. Like, the Xbox One is the current. You can put a subtitle behind it, but Xbox. That's almost like saying like Windows 11 isn't the current Windows because now it's Windows 11 version 2.3. Like, no, it's an upgrade, but it's not a whole new system. That's what I'm saying about Xbox One.
I'm still confused. What is the last Xbox? If I went to the store right now, what would I ask for?
Xbox One X.
Okay, you're both right. He said it was
Xbox One.
He's like, no, it's the Series X. Scott's wrong, but it's called the Xbox One X.
Series X. Yeah, it's a series of the Xbox One, but it's still the Xbox One. I stand by that.
Holy hell. Microsoft has branding problems.
Yeah. But I'm not going with the fuck-uppery. And I'm not even owning that fuck-uppery. I will stand by that. I will argue that you, sir, have a fuck-uppery from last episode. And I
was hoping you'd forget.
In edit.
Damn it. You remembered.
I caught this in edit. You said that a friend of ours stood in line to get memorabilia signed by John Ritter's friend from Three's Company at a con. And you said that friend's name was
Jack.
But you now know that Jack was
Larry.
John Ritter. Larry was the friend. Yes.
Yeah.
Big fuck-uppery there. Big fuck-uppery.
Yeah. How could I forget? Larry, not Jack.
Larry.
Jack Tripper, Larry. Right. It was Jack Tripper's best friend was Larry.
Yeah.
But I'm mixing up the names. And then there was John Ritter's the real guy. What's Larry's real name? Ooh.
I don't know.
It's probably Larry.
Larry!
Yeah.
Jack is John. John is Jack.
Yeah. I'll never forget. Yeah, my buddy standing in line. It was like 3 hours. He had armfuls of crap. I mean, it was all Three's Company stuff. I didn't even know there was that much Three's Company stuff.
I didn't think they marketed Three's Company that much.
I don't know where he got all this garbage. And he's like, I've got to wait in line for Larry. I need Larry's signature. I'm like, Larry's going to sign an armful of shit for you? And then what are you going to do with it?
That was my point all along. What do you do with it?
Well, I hung out with these guys.
That's what you do. You move to Nashville and you sit back and you look at it. And look how good I am because I have Larry's signature Three's Company.
Larry!
If I ever need that kind of fucking validation in my life, call in a wellness check because I might be looking to take a toaster bath.
Yeah, I think it's the last time I ever saw the guy, so it upset me that much. Fucking Larry. Who stands in line for Larry?
Is that all we had fuck-uppery was?
Yeah, that's all we got. And then
okay.
On the other episode, the one that is lost, the lost episode, one day I'll find it. Somehow I'll find it. We also talked about a celebrity death.
Yes. Yeah, this one, not unexpected. I mean, the guy was 93. But James Earl Jones, it doesn't hurt any less,
Yeah, that's a big one for us.
Yeah. So I'll ask you the same thing I asked you on Thursday. When you think of James Earl Jones, what characters come to mind for you?
Well, now that we had that conversation, it's still fresh in my head. More names than I had then, but it's obviously Darth Vader. James Earl Jones is probably maybe best known for Darth Vader. But as we talked through it, it was like, oh yeah, he had some other important things like Conan the Barbarian. He was part of that.
Yeah. He
was part of the Eddie Murphy movie Coming to America and Coming to America 2. So those were really the three that I knew. But you knew more.
Yeah, I did some research here. I put together a little bit of a eulogy for the man. 191 total acting credits on IMDb. That's amazing. Incredible.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, for me, Darth Vader is James Earl Jones, and James Earl Jones is Darth Vader. No doubt about that. Like I said, he died in 93, born in 1931 in Mississippi. I'm not going to try to say the city's name or the town's name. Arkabutla. Arkabutla, maybe? I don't know. But initially took drama so he could calm himself down. He had a stuttering problem as a child, and he took drama classes. He used poetry as a way to overcome that, and he did. And when it led to a 40-plus year career in acting.
I think that's crazy. I mean, I'm a little bit of not a stutterer as much as a stammerer.
Yeah.
When we edit these things, I edit out a lot of the stammers. But I've heard that. Like Dave Matthews is a pretty bad stutterer. You never hear, he can sing perfectly. He never stutters when he sings. But when you're performing a lot of times, and I don't know how this happens, but when you're performing a lot of times, you can stop the stutter.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Well, I think it's a different part of the brain because you think like even people that have accents, like when they sing, they don't sing with an accent necessarily.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Joe Biden's a famous stutterer, had a stutter as a child. I don't know that he still does, but
I've heard him do it a little bit. Yeah.
that's because you forget what he's
So,
trying to say, so he just says it again.
yeah, right.
But James Earl Jones served in the U.S. Army during the Korean War, and I don't know if he was ever deployed. It really didn't say, but he was in the U.S. Army and pre-med major in college. But I don't believe he finished out. I think he found his passion in acting, and he started off on Broadway in 1957 when he made his Broadway debut. He is one of 21 actors to win the EGOT. And do you know what the EGOT is?
Oh, we talked about this last time. I'm going to forget. It's not a real award. It's a
It's a combination
word.
of four awards. Yeah, it's an acronym.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even realize it was an acronym. Okay, so it's Emmys, E.
hmm
G is Grammys.
Yes.
O is O is
Oscar.
what is O?
Oscar.
Oscar. Duh. And then T is Tony.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
remember I asked you, how did he win a Grammy?
Yeah, and I didn't have up his whole filmography here or history, but one of his big roles was The Great White Hope, where he played a boxer, and I believe they brought The Great White Hope to stage as a musical after it had its success on film, and I believe he actually won his Grammy in that.
So he sang as he was boxing. That would be, I want to see the stage
You know
show.
how musicals are, you know what I mean? Like that's I don't know,
And he won.
but they must have recorded it because if it just would have been on stage, it would have just been the Tony. And I think he won the Tony twice.
That's stage work. Play,
Stage
and
work
musical
is
and all
Tony,
of
yeah.
that. Yeah. Talented.
But,
And then us knuckleheads, we only know him as Darth Vader.
well, I mean, his voiceover work, I think, probably does far outshine his live action stuff. But I did make a list of both here. Do you recall any other voiceover work that he did?
No, 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 no. No, unless it was some of the Star Wars video games.
Well, he did that, yeah. I mean, he did voiceover work. I mean, I counted all that as Darth Vader. But he was Mufasa in The Lion King, 1994,
Oh, right.
and he came back and did it when they did that, more live action like animation in 2019. He did voiceover work for The Simpsons. He was the voice of Bleeding Gums Murphy in like season 1, the jazz
Oh,
man.
the sax player. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one who
Did
hangs
the
out with
voice.
Lisa. You still see him in the, I don't know, is he still in the intro? I haven't seen a Simpsons episode in
Oh, I
10
haven't
years.
either. I do know that like in future episodes, they made it that Bleeding Gums Murphy was the brother of Dr. Hibbert,
Oh,
like his
he's
long
the guy
lost
who like to
brother.
laugh, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He laughed at all the most inappropriate moments. He also was the narrator for all the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episodes, which were always like the annual Halloween favorites, you know? But live action, I mentioned The Great White Hope. His very first movie was Doctor Strangelove, Stanley Kubrick's Doctor Strangelove in 1964. And then 1970, he was in The Great White Hope. What I most remember him from, of course, Coming to America, like you said, but also Field of Dreams and The Sandlot, two big baseball movies.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I never saw Field of Dreams. Sandlot, I've seen pieces of Sandlot. I know people love Sandlot. I've never gone all the way through that movie.
He was the guy that lived on the other side of the fence that owned the giant dog.
Oh, they threw the baseball into his yard.
It went over the fence and they had to go and get it.
Okay.
Monster.
I kind of remember.
Yeah. He also had a reoccurring role in Tom Clancy movies. He played Admiral Greer in 1990's Hunt for Red October, 92's Patriot Games with Harrison Ford, and also 1994's Clear and Present Danger with Harrison Ford. And I think
Those
they
are-
killed him off in that one, but that was
Those were
some
big
reoccurring
movies,
things.
too.
What's that?
Yeah, I totally forgot. Those were big movies, too.
Yeah.
I hate doing these eulogies, man. It's so sad. It's like,
Uh,
first, it reminds me how bad my memory is. But second, it's like, yeah, these guys, they were such big deals. They were in all these big movies that we grew up with.
Yeah. And then you mentioned Conan the Barbarian in 82. And then he was also in Meteor Man, one of the original superhero movies in 1993.
Who was in that? Who was in Meteor Man? Who was that guy? It's not Gregory Hines, was it?
No, he kind of had that look though.
Oh,
but definitely not Gregory Hines.
Meteor Man. That wasn't. Oh wait, that wasn't Keenan Thompson. No, that was I'll Get You, Sucker. I'm gonna get you, sucker.
I'm gonna get you, sucker. But well. Yeah, he had a hell of a run. I mean, 93. That's a good run. Like I said, it wasn't like out of left field like some of these other celebrity deaths have been, but doesn't hurt any less. I mean, no more Darth Vader. I mean, we talked about this. He kind of licensed his voice to Disney so they can keep using it, and I think they may have used it in Rogue One.
Oh, did they? Yeah. So
I'm sorry, Kenobi. The last thing he was credited for was the Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney Plus, and we were thinking that they used it for that.
So we don't really know whether it was AI or he was in the studio doing that.
Right.
Yeah,
he's going to be credited all the same, I think.
Yeah, well, he licensed out his name. He's the first person that I know that did that. He's like, let me license this out, so now it can officially be my voice being redone by AI. I wonder if that's going to happen more and more.
Do you know how many times he voiced Darth Vader on either, like, I'm not counting video games or the rides at Disney, which he also did. I'm just talking about movies or television. You know how many different things he did the voice of Vader on?
I'm going to guess 4. He did the first 3 movies, right? New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. And I know he was the voice in Revenge of the Sith. He was the Frankenstein scene. No! So I know that was him. And I think that's it. I don't remember him in anything else.
Well, here you go. New Hope, 77. The Star Wars the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Oh, he was in that?
In 78.
I don't remember Darth Vader in that.
He was in that. 1980s, Empire Strikes Back. 83's Return of the Jedi. And 2005's Episode 3, like you mentioned, Revenge of the Sith. But he was also in Rogue One and Star Wars Rebels and the Kenobi series. I kind of gave you the last 2 earlier. So 8 total.
Right, Rogue One. So that big scene at the end where Darth Vader's slashing everybody, I don't remember hearing a voice.
It could have just, give me the disc. I don't know. I do know one thing. I'm not taking over for the voice.
That was a little Schwarzenegger. It was, give me the disc now.
Come on, do it.
Do it.
Here I am. Do it.
Get to the chopper.
So yeah, R.I.P. James Earl
Jones. All right. Well, we can go into the news. We willing to try this?
Let's do it, man.
So to me, we're podcasters, and there's another side of podcasting called streaming, right? So ideally, it's people just get on the mic and they just talk. There's no plan. There's no rehearsal. Our rehearsal was Thursday, right? So when we make mistakes, we just chop them all out. So we're kind of streamers right now. We're doing something different.
No net.
I hate streamers.
Yeah.
I can't understand why people will just sit there and Sister Michelle watches that Jay from Jay and Silent Bob. He just streams on Twitch and plays video games and just says whatever comes to his head. Jason Mewes. Yeah. I'm so bored. I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. I don't want to listen to some guy just fucking, it's like spying on him. It's like watching a cam girl. You know what I mean? It's like, this feels dirty.
I mean, at the very least, we did have a rehearsal under our belt now. So
yeah. And it's going okay because of that rehearsal. So far, we haven't edited anything. This is so good.
Oh, before we get into the news, I do have a callback to last episode.
Go for it.
We were playing 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Right.
And the last thing you challenged me with was, can I connect Kevin Bacon to Morton Downey Jr.?
Robert Downey Jr. Yeah.
And in edit, when I was doing the edit, I was like so pissed off. I thought of it right away. I hinted around it the whole time. Kevin Bacon played himself in the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday episode, or holiday special, whatever you want to call it, with all of them. I mean, you name it. Chris Pratt, Dave Bautista, you name them. Who, of course, was right there in any single Avengers Endgame or, you name it, Civil War, Captain America Civil War. They were all in that with Robert Downey Jr. So, like, 2 degrees, tops.
Almost got it perfect. Civil War didn't have any of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, you're right. Okay,
But
so
Endgame and Endgame and Infinity War or whatever.
That's the one I couldn't think of. Yeah. Okay.
This is one of those situations. Sister Michelle's going to get mentioned twice. It's like I would wake up Monday and there'd be text from Michelle. There'd be text from Steve and a couple others, and they all had it. They are all like, "Dude, you guys forgot about the Christmas." Oh yeah, we did. All right.
I think I texted you Sunday night while I was editing, and I was like, "Dude, it's right there." I even hinted around it. I talked about how him being in everything and now being in the MCU is going to half every single connection, and I went back to school with Rodney Dangerfield.
And here it was just a two-stepper.
All right, that's all I had from last episode, but let's hit the news.
All right, so this was going to be a fuck-uppery, all right? Beloved 80s blockbuster film set for sequel with original cast 40 years later. So we were talking about this on the Lost episode. Goonies is coming back, and they have talked about Goonies coming back for years and years. Goonies, it's going to come back, it's going to come back. So this time, from a credible source...
Yeah. Was it Variety?
Come back. You know what? I didn't put it down in the notes then. I didn't put it down in the notes this time. But I don't know if you saw the latest. It's already been debunked.
Well, it's been debunked by Corey Feldman and the other girl,
Martha Plimpton.
Yeah. I have a theory though. I think there's a script and everything. Sean Astin, everybody signed on. Josh Brolin signed on. They just didn't invite Corey Feldman. So they don't know. They don't know.
Supposedly they don't like the guy.
Yeah, two things could both be true in this. This may not be a fuck-uppery. I think remaking this movie has all the earmarkings of being a fuck-uppery for the studio and just destroying the Goonies name, and I have a big problem with that. But the fact that they have Sean Astin and Josh Brolin and Pee-wee Kwan and all of them coming back, maybe there's a chance it could be good. I don't know.
Oh, I'm too scared.
Yeah.
I'm too scared. It's that same thing that we were talking about in the Lost episode. We were talking about, oh my God, Ghostbusters. Look how off the rails it's gone. And it's like, now I'm not excited for any more Ghostbusters. I'm not excited for any more Star Wars. It's all going off the rails.
Another callback to last episode. We did not go see Beetlejuice.
No, it didn't happen. It didn't work out. And I was scared to go because I was afraid it was going to go off the rails, like all of these things.
That's not why we didn't go. Yeah, we did not go because of that. There was no fear holding us back. It was more, we just couldn't get a ticket. And apparently this thing is selling out still.
Yeah. Who knew? I didn't expect this to be a hit at all.
Me neither.
I did think it would do better than Borderlands. But I didn't think it would be a hit.
I mean, set the bar a little higher, Bill.
The Crow? How about that one? Which movie did worse this summer, Borderlands or The Crow?
The Crow did worse.
Man.
But it's still in the theaters as where Borderlands is out. So Borderlands' number is done. The Crow can still add numbers, I guess, but only for like another week, I think.
Okay. Is there like some kind of union?
No, I mean, they only count its theatrical run. What it gets in streaming and everything afterward, I don't think counts towards like its total box office. The box office only counts the theatrical run. So Borderlands stopped its theatrical run, probably because no theater owner wanted to have it taking up a whole theater anymore.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, do you remember during pandemic, they put a couple movies out towards the end of the pandemic? They put a couple movies out in the theater and they ran it on streaming at the same time?
Yeah.
Think like that Matrix. Here's another example. Matrix. Don't make a new Matrix. It was terrible. Now everybody hates all the Matrixes. The last Matrix blew everything.
I already didn't like the Matrix from the Matrix 3. The Matrix 3 ruined it for me.
I don't remember 2 or 3. I remember watching them going, what the fuck is going on?
They could have left 1 as a standalone. It would have been fantastic.
Yeah. Well, anyway, unless Corey Feldman, they hired everybody but Corey and Martha. That's a great theory. I love it. It's like, there's no sequel. Nobody's called us. Meanwhile, they're filming it, you know?
Everybody's in this story.
Yeah, everybody's in Astoria. They're filming lines saying, yeah, it's a real shame Mouth died off camera. It's a real shame Martha died, whatever character name was. That would be hilarious.
It's a real damn shame that Sloth took out Mouth in a murder-suicide.
Okay, you know what? Maybe I do want to see this. All right, how about this story? A new book called Stan Lee Lied. Your handy guide to every lie in the origins of Marvel Comics by Chaz Gower claims to expose numerous falsehoods in Stan Lee's 1974 book, Origins of Marvel Comics. Gower argues that Stan Lee exaggerated his role in the creation of Marvel Comics and provides evidence to debunk many of Lee's claims. The book suggests that Lee's lies were aimed at enhancing his reputation and securing his legacy in the comic book industry. The Post also mentions the 1974 book is being re-released in a deluxe edition, making the timing of Gower's book particularly notable. So that's kind of fun. But you know what? I was thinking, like, if Stan Lee did not come up with all of this stuff and most of it's bullshit, how come nobody's called him out on it? He's been saying he was the creator of Spider-Man, the Hulk, all these things. I mean, there's another guy, Steve Ditko, who gets a lot of credit.
Yeah, and Jack Kirby, like he always
Kirby.
Like a lot of the characters were always like co-credited to Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.
But as far as I remember, Stan Lee was in the comic books, that voice, you know, in the cartoons, Excelsior, or whatever.
Excelsior. Yeah.
So how bad was he lying? Because I've never once heard that he was lying until right now, until I read this story.
Shame.
I've heard rumors that it was maybe a little bit inflated how much he was involved. But like nobody was like calling him completely a bullshit artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that he could have lied too much about it. You know what I mean? Somebody would have called bullshit before.
Somebody would have called bullshit.
Unless he only claimed it after these people died, and then who was going to argue?
That was the other thought I had. That's a filthy move.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he did it. He was a weird dude, too. Like, I remember seeing some footage of him in the 70s, like, being on talk shows. Weird, not in a bad way, but in a funny way. But do you remember, like, what was it called? Stripperella? Remember he put out a cartoon show?
Yeah.
Stripperella? Like, he must have been a pervert, too. Stripperella.
Oh, look how they do half of those comic book characters, at least female comic book characters.
But Stripperella with Pamela Anderson.
She was Barbed Wire then, too. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. I liked Barbed Wire. Terrible movie. Barbed Wire.
Was it a movie or was it a series? I remember watching a series, Barbed Wire.
I think you're confusing Stripperella and... I said it was Barbed Wire. It was Barb Wire.
Barbed Wire. Yeah, that was her name. It was a terrible name.
Barbed Wire.
Yeah, but, I mean, I don't know. I have to say this. Back, when he was claiming these things, like it was like, what, 1970s, 1980s? Yeah. When did that first book come out? 1977?
74, it says.
74. Nobody, like, illustrators, writers, like, comic books weren't things that they set out to do, I don't think. It was like something to do. It was a steady gig. But, like, most artists wanted to be doing art, not comic books. It wasn't something somebody was proud of. I think Stan Lee was one of the first guys to stand up and be like, yeah, comics are where it's at. Real stories. He really owned it. He was the champion for comic book.
And I'm thinking maybe it was like 74. He's out promoting the book. He goes on Johnny Carson. If Johnny Carson was on at the time, he's like, I invented Spider-Man, And meanwhile, Ditko, if he's really the one who did it, what the hell? Who can I tell that this isn't true?
News outlet, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have access to anybody. There's no internet.
I don't have a book. What the fuck am I going to do?
So maybe that's what was going on.
But it would have probably came a lawsuit, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, how much can he get from him just for saying, for going on TV and lying?
Well, I mean, as dirty as it would have been if, and I'm not saying he did, but if what he did was take credit for these characters rather, after the other people died, that's what this fucking guy's doing right now. Stan Lee died. And now he's saying he's a liar. He can't stand up for himself.
Right. We'll never know. Unless we read the book and believe every word of it. Which I'm going to do just because I like drama.
Yeah, do you think he has like doodles stashed in a desk somewhere? We're just like, yeah, see, I made this. What am I going to say? What's the proof?
Back of the napkin sketches. With some crumbs on it from the diner.
Yeah. I hope it's not true. I mean, I do like Stan Lee.
I like him too. He's got a lot of liked him.
Right.
Got a lot of, charisma. He's funny. He's a good spokesperson for Marvel.
He was looking for Tony Stank. Is Tony Stank here? Remember in the cameo, he was like the FedEx driver.
Yeah, yeah. I remember in Deadpool, he was the strip club announcer. That was fun. I like
right.
that. The
That's
Stripperella, it all comes back. We're going to say it right here and get the whole rumor started.
Shame.
He was an absolute pervert. I want everybody to tell their friends. Let's start the rumor.
And it'll be great timing because his book's coming out in a collector's edition. His book has a centerfold.
Ah, that's awesome. And it's Stan Lee. He's got a centerfold for himself. It's him laying. It's him laying like Burt Reynolds on that bearskin rug.
Oh, yeah.
That's
excellent.
My
God.
All right, let's move along. Christmas Vacation, one of your favorite movies, one of my favorite movies, maybe one of the funniest movies ever.
I think so. Probably the most quotable.
So if you were a young filmmaker, kind of making an indie flick, and you grew up loving Christmas Vacation, I bet you it would be your dream to make your version of Christmas Vacation.
Maybe. I mean, I think making a holiday movie is a annual payday that a lot of people wish they had. You know what I mean? Like they show your movie every year. That's a great move.
I think people like Mariah Carey even, singing. They're like, hey, you got, our managers and the record label, like, you got to make a Christmas song. Everybody's got to make a Christmas song. We're going to make so much money on the Christmas songs. So yeah, making a Christmas movie is probably the same idea.
And it's not just Christmas, but don't think Adam Sandler's not making a payday for the Hanukkah song and the 4 different versions of it every single, December.
I'm surprised they don't have like Arbor Day songs in movies, Whatever little, lame, unknown holiday, make a movie and song out of it. So it says here, Christmas Vacation stars reunite in new movie shot in Central New York. The first trailer for a new movie shot in Central New York gives fans a glimpse of a highly anticipated National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation reunion. Llama Entertainment. You've heard of Llama Entertainment, everybody, right? What the hell is Llama Entertainment? Llama Entertainment has released the first look at The Christmas Letter, a new holiday film that features Chevy Chase, Randy Quaid in his first movie in 6 years, and Brian Doyle Murray. So, who was Brian Doyle Murray in the movie? I know.
He was the
I
boss.
don't want them to think I don't know, Scott, but I'm just...
He was the boss. He played Mr. Shirley.
And is that the brother of...
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray.
And all the other Murray brothers, yes. He's the oldest.
Have you seen him lately?
No, but I can't imagine he's looking well. He looked old back then.
I didn't even recognize him in the trailer.
Really?
I was like, oofa toofa. He's really aged. So we're at the point now where these guys, Eddie Murphy. What am I saying? I was trying to think. Cousin Eddie popped into my head. Yeah.
Randy Quaid.
Chevy Chase, Randy Quaid, Brian Doyle Murray. They're now in like indie movies. So basically, if you guys at home want to make a movie, you can probably get Chevy Chase now.
But they're not playing Clark Griswold and Cousin Eddie and Frank Shirley in this Christmas Letter.
Correct.
Movie, right?
They are not.
They're just the actors are reuniting on this new set.
Yeah. And it's a great idea if you're making a small indie movie. You're like, yo, Bill's going to read this on the podcast. Like, it's perfect. They totally played us like the Phil. But I was watching it. I'm like, this, first off, the trailer wasn't funny at all. And second, seeing these old guys taking whatever scraps they can get, like, I don't know. Man, it bummed me out. This whole thing, the whole idea of this bums me out.
Yeah.
Did you get to watch the trailer?
I never did, no. You talked about it on Thursday. I never looked it up because you said it was hurtful to watch. So I was like, no, I got better things to do with my time.
I watched it 100 times. I'm only kidding. I watched it once. I was just like, this stinks. I'll never watch the Christmas Letter.
You're some kind of sadistic bastard.
This sounds like something they're going to put on Hallmark Channel.
Yeah. The Christmas Letter, even the name sounds like so hokey enough that it would be there.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you can't get enough of Chevy Chase, Randy Quaid, and Doyle Murray, then go ahead and check out the Christmas Letter. Probably on Hallmark. All right, here's one. This is one we did on the Lost episode. It's a little confusing. Lucasfilm sued for recreating Grand Moff Tarkin actor Peter Cushing's image in Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So, Rogue One, great movie. Love the movie. And they had Grand Moff Tarkin made in CGI. Now, this guy, the actor, Peter Cushing, he's been dead. He's been dead for years.
Like 93, I think 94.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it. But he's been dead long enough to where when he showed up in this movie, I went, whoa. Like, the CGI was okay. It was like, all right, we're going to now keep, plots going with CGI characters looking like the real people. Later on in that movie, you saw it happen with Princess Leia. Later on
they were
Mandalorian.
as good. They were as good as the Mandalorian, Mark Hamill.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like, cool. If the actors aren't around or can't do the role, this might be decent. Yeah. So now it's 2024. That movie was a while ago. Now there's a lawsuit. That seems really late in the game.
Yeah, 2016 Rogue One came out.
So it says here, as reported by the Times, I think that's the New York Times.
It was. Yeah.
It's my best guess. A friend of Cushing has alleged Disney did not have permission to recreate the actor's image with special effects for Rogue One. Disney tried and failed to have the case dismissed for a second time on September 9th, 2024. The plaintiff, Kevin Francis, is suing Lucasfilm through his company, Tyburn Film Productions, like that Llama Productions. Everybody's got a production company now.
Llama, Red Granite.
That was the other week. Yeah. We better come up with a production company fast while the getting's good. So this guy, Kevin Francis, brought claims against Rogue One producer Lunic Heavy Industries, the late executors of Cushing's estate, and Cushing's agency Associated International Management. So Francis claimed he must give authorization for any recreating of Cushing's image following an agreement that Francis made between the actor in 1993, 1 year before his death in 81. So let's stop and digest this. Some random guy has talked to Peter Cushing and said, "You're old. You're probably about to die. Sign this agreement. I'm going to represent your legacy. I'm not going to let anyone use your name or your likeness without me getting paid." That doesn't make sense
at all. Yeah. Hey, in case there ever becomes a time where there is a technology that can make my face and my legacy go on in movies, I want you to be the guy. It makes no goddamn sense at all.
Makes no goddamn sense. So it says Lucasfilm claimed it didn't think it needed permission to recreate Cushing's image due to his original contract for Star Wars and the nature of the special effects. It also paid around I guess that's Disney, paid around $37,000 to Cushing's estate after being contacted by his agent about the recreation. So is Cushing dead and still has an agent? And then there's still this other guy, Kevin Francis. Who's he to the agent?
And the estate, I mean, is Francis the executor of the estate, or is he something completely different? It doesn't make any sense at all.
I don't know. This could be the greatest scam of all time.
Oh, and the thing with Disney, thinking like, oh, we just thought it was okay because the contract that he signed back in 1970? 1977? Yeah. That was going to be okay. And well, here's $37,000. You go away now.
Well, that's Hollywood. Ask for forgiveness, not permission.
Well, they only paid it after they were contacted by his agent after it was already out.
Yeah. And is $37,000 really a lot of money to be like, thanks for letting us use his likeness. He's a major character in this story.
Yeah, I mean, Grand Moff Tarkin stole Project Stardust, which was the Death Star from General Krennic. But the whole scene of the recreation was only like 4 minutes tops.
Oh, I felt like he had more in it than
that was it. They show him, and he's like, I'm going to be taking over Stardust now. And then he said, Darth Vader wants to see you. Then Krennic went to Mustafar, to Darth Vader's castle, where they had the corniest line of all time. Don't choke on your ambition.
How do you do it? How do you remember all these? Well, I don't know. I was thinking of maybe throwing my hat into the ring and saying that Disney owes me some money too, just to see if I can get that through.
But Bill, if there ever comes a time where this show becomes something and you're going to be the executor of my voice and likeness, so you can keep making shows after my untimely passing.
Thank you very much. You heard it here, guys.
Yes.
Don't tell your wife. We don't need her getting involved. Keep her out of it.
She wouldn't know how to use the recordings.
All right. Looking at my list of stuff. Let's do one more news story. I think we're pulling this off for the most part.
Yeah. Before we do that, I will say there's probably enough shows now, and I've said enough words that you could probably edit it together and make me say anything.
Now you understand why we're doing this today.
Fair
Now you
enough.
finally understand.
All right. It's all become so clear.
All right, my last news story here is about a con. So we were just talking about the cons that we didn't go to last weekend.
I went to a con.
Well, you went. I couldn't make it, yeah. We didn't even say. We were to remind everybody who was at the con.
Yeah, I went. I met Will from 1980s Now.
Mm-hmm.
I saw his panel. It was great catching up with Will. Never met him in person. I listen to his show every week. If you give a damn about 1980s pop culture, his show is definitely one to check out.
Yeah, it's a great show. You said he had a fun segment too.
Yeah, his panel that he did. So he basically did a live podcast. It basically sat at the front of the table with his team and talked about the 1980 Garfield phone. Remember the Garfield phone?
Kinda.
It was like shaped like a cat laying down, Garfield, and the phone would come out of its back. And when you lifted up the phone, the cat's eyes would open up. You hang the phone up, and the eyes would close.
Remember.
Yeah, well, apparently a few years back on the coast of France, I think it was like maybe the late 2010s, early 2020s, thousands of them started washing up on the coastline of France. And nobody knew why.
Washing up like in a packaging in boxes, like Garfield
no,
phone box?
just pieces of orange plastic, very resembling of Garfield, washed up on the shore.
The actual phones.
Actual phones. Every single time the tide rolled in.
What? Never heard this in my life. That's ridiculous. That's crazy.
Yeah. And the cleanup crews were like, "This is a lost cause. Every single time we clean it up, the next tide comes in, and here comes thousands of more phones."
Wow. What? How's this story end? Did they ever figure out where these phones were coming from?
They did. If you want to know, go listen to 1980s Now's newest episode. He actually used the panel from the con as his newest episode. Just dropped on Monday.
Hell yeah. All right. I'm going to listen to that because I'm fascinated by that. Is that like one of those stories where it's like the Atari games? Remember they all got buried? Did somebody bury all these Garfield phones?
No, nothing like that. I think it was a shipping container fell off of a ship.
Shipping container. Oh.
But like 30, 40 years prior. And then they just started washing up. So
weird.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, all right. Well, anyway, the fact that we had a con in our neighborhood was pretty cool, right? This one in Oaks, Pennsylvania, it's relatively new. I've been to that one a couple times, even though I couldn't make it to see Will and see you and your family there. But I was surprised to learn that there's another one right across the street from Oaks is Valley Forge. Yeah, you guys know Valley Forge, Pennsylvania? You seen that show Tires or whatever it's called, the new Netflix show?
Oh, what's that?
There's a new show on Netflix. It's a comedy. I'm forgetting the name of the comedian who's the star of it, but that takes place in Valley Forge. Like suddenly Valley Forge is getting its day.
Really?
Yeah. So, so in Valley Forge, they have something called Famous Monster Fest. It's run by the revived fan journal, Famous Monsters of Filmland. And I want to tell you who's at this con because I think this is fascinating. Famous monsters, okay? Who's a bigger monster than Jonathan Majors of the MCU?
Wait, you mean because of Kang the Conqueror or because of him being a monster off screen terrorizing women of New York City? Allegedly.
I'm going to say both.
Both? Jonathan Majors is already doing the con circuit, huh?
He's already doing the con circuit. How he must feel doing that. Like, yesterday, I was a huge star. Today, I'm signing autographs at a con.
He's sitting next to Larry from Three's Company.
Well, I can tell you who's there. George Takei is there.
Hi, George.
Original drummer Peter Criss is there.
He met the Phantom of the theme park one time.
Kane Hodder, who plays Jason Voorhees, was there.
Right.
Tyler Mane, the guy who played Michael Myers in a couple of movies. I'm pretty sure Tyler Mane played Sabretooth in the last Deadpool.
Did.
And yeah, I think he played the original Sabretooth too. So that's the kind of guys you get here. And then all of a sudden, you get Jonathan Majors. But there's one other guy who I can't really understand why he's there. Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis is kind of a big name, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he did a lot of the Planet of the Apes stuff. He did Gollum from Lord of the Rings. He was the best part of the Andor series.
Yeah. Well, they must have paid him garbage because now he's got to do cons.
I learned how to swim.
Well, this was here in Valley Forge just last weekend. Like, we could have gone. We could have gone yesterday. What do you think they're asking this guy? Like, do you think all day he's got to be like defending himself? He's got to be like, yeah, sorry, I fucked up the MCU. Yeah, like, what the hell? What would you say to him?
Oh, man. That's a crazy thing. I don't think I'd ever, like, almost like listening to fucking, who's listening to R. Kelly? Who's listening to P. Diddy? You know what I mean? Like, that's the equivalent. Am I going to go stand in line for Jonathan Majors?
Yeah, that's weird.
Like, do I want to would I want to get Jeffrey Epstein's autograph?
I didn't even think of it that way.
I mean, what am I supporting? What kind of company am I keeping if I stand in line for this guy?
We should start our own con, like Shitheads of Hollywood. Then it makes sense.
I like it. That's a good plan, man.
My little doggy is barking. That means, and look, if you look at my face, you can tell the sun went down. So that means,
And the lights on, yeah.
it's time to wrap it up.
All right. Well, this was different. A blast from the past. Who says you can't go home? We used to do this show every single week this way. But never was forced. But now desperation calls. So here we are. We'll see if it gets to video. Thanks everybody for tuning in. And if you like it, let us know. Maybe we'll do it this way more often. Catch you next week.
Fuck it, fuck it, fuck it, fuck it, fuck it, fuck it, fuck it. We'll do it live. Fuck it.